How to respond to criticism or false accusations without falling into the trap of explaining or justifying. The art of unshakable silence, responding without justifying. Understanding the psychological trap. To avoid the trap of explaining or justifying, you must first understand why we do it. When someone criticizes or falsely accuses you, your brain perceives a threat to your social status and emotional stability. Your instinct is to provide a mountain of reasons, explanations, to prove that you are right or that your actions were valid. However, in the context of the red light phase of relationship management, excessive explaining often acts as a form, perhaps, or a form of emotional chasing. When you over-explain, you're essentially asking for validation. You are trying to convince the other person to see your side, which signals that your sense of self is dependent on their opinion. This actually lowers your perceived emotional stability. If someone falsely accuses you and you immediately respond with a long paragraph of reasons, you appear reactive and defensive, rather than calm and certain. Step guide to maintaining emotional dominance. To handle criticism or false accusations using the principles of the red light phase, specifically maintaining balance. Follow these steps. Step 1, the internal pause detection. The moment a criticism or accusation hits, do not speak immediately. Feel the urge to defend yourself, or recognize it as an impulse to chase understanding. Count to 3 or even 5 in your head before opening your mouth. Step 2, the calm acceptance, the response. Instead of a long explanation, use a short, powerful statement of acceptance. If accused, say something like, "I understand why you see it that way," or "That is a valid perspective." This shows you have heard them without letting the accusation shake your core identity. Step 3, the action-based proof, the follow-through. Instead of using words to prove your point, let your consistent behavior do the talking. If they say, "You don't care about me," do not reply with a list of everything you have done for them. Instead, simply stay calm and continue being caring. Eventually, the contrast between their accusation and your steady way of being will force them to realize their error. Step 4, use silence as a tool, the blackout principle. If the criticism is part of a larger conflict or a hard red light phase, use silence instead of words. Silence communicates self-respect and independence. It forces the other person to sit with their own words rather than watching you scramble to fix them. The fatal error, the biggest mistake. The biggest mistake, trying to convince someone of your truth through verbal repetition. If you find yourself saying, "But I only did that because," or "You don't understand, what I meant was," more than once, you have fallen into the trap. This signals that you lack emotional stability and that you are prioritizing their correctness over your own self-assuredness. You end up chasing their approval rather than letting your character speak for itself. Master's wisdom, personal advice and rules. My best personal advice: master your internal state before you try to master the conversation. If you are certain of your truth, you don't need a crowd of reasons to support it. A king doesn't explain why he wears a crown, he simply wears it. A simple rule to remember: brief is better than busy. Keep your rebuttals brief. If a response can be said in 5 words, do not use 10. The key truth: people do not respect explanations, they respect certainties. When you are certain, you don't need to explain. When you explain too much, you signal that you aren't sure. The golden rule of conflict: never defend a truth that is already visible. If your actions clearly show your intent, your words should only serve to acknowledge their perspective, not to fight for your own. The simple formula for non-defensiveness: observation plus calm acceptance equals emotional dominance. For example, if accused of being distant, don't list all the times you've been close. Just say, "I hear that you feel I've been distant lately," and then stay calm.